So in this example, we're going to discuss how many people should be included in our sample. How many people needs to be included in the survey? What is the sample size when you are working with confidence intervals? So, for example, you're running for a political campaign. Political campaign. And you want to estimate with 95% confidence the population proportion of registered voters who will vote for your candidate. Very good. This is a very important process, and it's a real world problem. So suppose your estimate must be accurate within 3% of population proportion. Must be accurate within 3% of population proportion. How many people you should be asking? What is the sample size? So first of all, we know that the margin of error formula for population proportion was equal to ZC times square root of P hat 1 minus P hat divided by N. So from this formula, we can derive a formula for N. If I raise everything to the second power, this is E squared equals to ZC squared, and you get rid of this radical. You get P hat 1 minus P hat divided by N. Just to exchange the role of N and E squared, N is equal to ZC squared, P hat 1 minus P hat divided by E squared. So you have a formula for your sample size. This gives you the minimum sample size. We're going to follow this formula. N is equal to ZC to the second P hat 1 minus P hat divided by E squared. Very good. Now we need to identify these pieces of information. What is ZC? I know that my C is 95%. So since C is 95%, I know ZC or critical value is going to be 1.96. So N so far is 1.96 to the second power. I need to know what is P hat, 1 minus P hat, and I need to know what is E. Since there is no information about sample proportion, we take sample proportion to be 50%. 50% say yes, and 50% say no. Again, there is no information about your sample proportion. So by default, you're going to select P hat to be 50% or 0.50. So my P hat is 0.50, and I multiply that by 1 minus 0.50, which is going to be another 50%. What about my denominator? My denominator is E. Remember, E is the margin of error. Take a look at this line. Suppose your estimate must be accurate within 3%. It means that you have information about the distance. E, or the distance, is 3% or 0.03. So let's punch everything into the calculator and find the sample size. So if we use our calculator, the sample size is roughly 913.02. But since it's the number of people, how many people, we should round it up. So you're going to say that N is at least 914 people. So we need to ask at least 914 people to have a 95% confidence for population proportion.